Everyone, today we're going to discuss a very important problem called combination sum. Now, this is a very common interview problem which covers the topic of backtracking and which is pretty much asked in almost every interview for be it Amazon or Adobe or Apple. So let's get into the problem. So I'll explain. I've read the description, so I'll explain you the problem. So we're given an candidates array which will have distinct integers, and using these candidates distinct integers, we need to find a combination of integers which will lead to the target 7. Now, each number can be used unlimited number of times, but we have to make set distinct combination of numbers to be equal to 7. Now, what this distinct means that two combinations are unique if the frequency of at least one of the chosen number is different. So let's say here you can see 2, 2, 3 will result in 7. Now, this is one of the possible combinations which we can return in our answer. Similarly, there could be another one, 2, 3, 2. Now we can't use 232 because then 232 will have same number of frequency of twos and threes with these twos and threes. So we need at least one number to have a different frequency from the previous array or any array in the answer. So I think you got the problem now. Moving on to another example. Here again, as you see, all the possible answers combinations have different frequency of elements which are resulting into the sum target. And since if we have none which equals to target, then we'll return empty array. Now, this might seem tough, and if you think in a brute way, then we'll end up having multiple for loops in which for each of the element, and then within that for each of the element, and within that for each of the element, if our sum is equal to the target, and even after doing that, we have to check whether our total combination of the array which is resulting in target is unique or not. So that's a brute way. But let me tell you the most optimized way to solve this problem. So this is I have drawn to pictorially describe you how to reach the particular answer that we want. So let's say we have an initial array temp which is empty right now, and we have an answer which will result the in which we'll add temp. This answer is basically a vector of vector which will be returned, and temp is just a vector of integers which will store the combination of integers resulting into that sum. So initially, I'm taking this example of 2, 3, 6, 7 and target 7. So in the candidates array, we have given 2, 3, 6, 7, and the sum for each or till up till 2, 3, 6, 7 is basically their own va face value, which is again the same. So right at this first step, we can see we got an integer which is equal to the target. So we won't go further iteration for this. We'll just return from here itself. So whenever our target it will be equal to sum, we'll just roll back our operations and add that temp array, roll our operations and add the temp vector to our vector of vector, and we'll return. So that's how we got 7 here. Now moving towards 2. Initially, let's iterate for the 2. Initially, we have the sum 2, and we'll add temp vector to our answer vector. So another vector which we got was 2, 3, and 3. So similarly, we can do this for all the other iterations as well. Whenever our value becomes, so let's say here are some value is 10 and 11. Now this becomes greater than the target. So whenever sum becomes greater than the target, then also we'll just return back without doing anything. We won't do anything here. We'll just return. So this is won't the case. This is won't the case. And we'll just return from here and do the similar operations for all the other elements as well, and we'll return the answer. So the answer for this is this. Now the code for this is very simple. What we'll do is we'll take a normal temp array like I've told you in in the explanation, and then write a recursive function in which we'll pass the given candidate array and the integer target. So this is both given. We'll have a we'll have the temp vector in which we'll store the combinations which would be resulting into the sum target, and then have this empty value which is initially 0, in which we'll store the sum of the current value plus the value that we'll get from the candidates and the index. Now, since we want to return the answer, we have this answer as a global vector or vector which can be used in both this and this as well. So initially, like I explained to you, we'll write our base conditions, which are if value is equal to the target, we'll simply push back the temp array into the answer and return. And if the value is greater than target, then we don't push anything and we'll simply return from there. Now this is the main part of the code, which tells that if for every integer starting from I to 0 up till the size of the candidate array, whichever element that been counted, let me pull the explanation. Now, what I said, for every candidate array of size till I plus plus, what we'll do, we'll keep on pushing the elements of the candidate array into the temp array, and then we'll again call the same function. Calling the same function is similarly doing this only, this step. For two, we are again calling the same function, and then basically what we're passing the temp array with the added two. We're passing the candidate array, which is this 2367. We're passing the target, which is 7 again. Plus the value would be 2 plus whatever value we get from here, okay? And then we'll increase the index. So when once all these operations are performed, like I said, once we reach the target 7, we'll put the temp array back into our answer and we'll return. And while doing that, we'll keep emptying our temp array so that when the new iteration needs to be performed, then temp array is empty. So we'll pop back right away as well. Now this was the main code which will give us this answer vector, which will have the result. Now, since we're doing it for multiple combinations, we might get here 2 and 2 plus 3 and 2. Now this is also will lead to now this will also lead to 7, and we want to avoid this, right? So what we'll do, we'll have set which will have vector of integers in them. Now why we are introducing set in this problem is because we know that set has unordered set or set has unique values in them. It removes the duplicate values automatically. So what we'll do, while inserting the while inserting the temp arrays into this set, we'll we'll sort while inserting the array, because let's say we get 233 and then we get 232. Now the set sh needs to consider both of them as the same. So once sorted, both of them would be 223 and 223. And in our solution, it doesn't matter how in what order we return the elements. So basically this could be done. And in this set, we'll remove all the elements, duplicate array elements from the answer, and then we'll again return the set values into a vector of vector and then return the response. So this is how this this is how this could be done. See you in the next video with a new problem. Bye.